What's going on, everybody? It's FREEDO here for Your Overwatch, and today we're going to be doing a guide on one of my favorite heroes to bring out in matchmaking nowadays, Orisa. Recent buffs and the meta shift into Mercy Res has really seen Orisa have some success in matchmaking, at least because in order to counter her playstyle requires smart outplay and outpositioning and teamwork, and anytime that's the case, you can see yourself have quite a bit of success playing the online ranked mode. So we're going to look at a few different elements of Orisa: smart positioning, what to shoot at, where to put your shields, how to use halt, and generally where and why she's good at what she does. First off, I'm going to start at a entry clip. Here we're holding with a Orisa Torb Hollywood combo, and these characters together form for a very devastating defensive setup whenever you can back yourself against a corner essentially, and the enemy have to come get you. Now, one thing that Orisa counters, in my opinion, is Reinhardt slow pushes. And the reason I say that is because Orisa has comparable shielding, gets her shield quite reliably, and she adds a lot of shield break to the team because she has so much ammo that she's constantly dishing out. Tons of spam, gonna shred that Rein shield really easy. However, as you might notice when I'm playing, one thing you want to look out for is if the enemy has a Zarya, which can quickly hard counter you if you accidentally shoot her bubbles too much. So instead, when I see a bubble go on the Reinhardt, I aim to the corner of his shield, so I can still be doing something with my damage, but not feeding the Zarya charge, which will end up biting us in the butt. And then as we slowly, through attrition, win the team fight, we overwhelm. I use halt to kind of group them up. It ends up getting me play of the game later somehow, and we like generally mow them down. That's the basic gameplay loop of what we're dealing with Orisa. Smart tactical positioning, don't shoot the wrong things, don't feed like support ults in certain situations. Dealing damage is good, but you want to try to make it as impactful as you can, which can be kind of difficult with Orisa because her weapon is so sporadic. But now let's talk about what I think is one of her best utility plays in the game, especially for matchmaking, and that is crowd controlling a very difficult to beat team composition, Bastion riding the cart. This is incredibly popular in the Mercy meta, especially on this map, Junkertown. I see it all the time. And if you want to counter, you got it. Orisa, by far, is the star player in the Bastion Warfare playstyle. Reason being, if the enemy has a Reinhardt and a Bastion set up, if you halt them off of a position, you'll actually just clump them both together, bringing the shield with them. But if they put an Orisa shield in front of the Bastion, typically Orisa's hand in hand with them, you can pull them away from the barrier, off the cart, forcing them to reposition and generally opening them up for damage from your teammates. Now, very important as Orisa to always know your limitations. You are not a point presence character. You're not brawly like Roadhog, and your team's not going to get a lot of value pumping healing into you like you're a Zarya. Most of the time, you're going to be best suited at avoiding damage and playing as if you're a diveable squishy and letting your shield do the tanking for your team. The barrier tanks, you don't. Now, if you saw my pro Bastion breakdown, as Envy is set up for the retake on Route 66, they pulled back their turret characters. Well, Orisa's basically a turret character. Here we have our Bastion riding the cart still, and the Reinhardt is able to come out of spawn and pin him entirely, but I leave the cart knowing the retake's there, so I can guarantee I keep myself up, active, and dealing damage so that this retake can just get mowed down. Knowing how to sidestep, avoid the fray, halt characters into advantageous positions for yourself, and mow things down is really how you're going to get the strategical playstyle of Orisa down. She's the only tank that plays like this, really. She's a pure backline main tank type character. Really wonky the way it fits. It isn't really comparable to any other tank, I think, but use the fact that you have range damage and a projectile barrier where you can put it where you want, but keep yourself safe, because if you find yourself too close to the action, they may have nerfed Orisa's head hitbox, but it's still pretty massive. They can just walk towards you with anything. Any character with any spread that does any kind of damage will melt you. Avoid damage to your face at all costs, and keep crowd controlling them away with halt. And that's the general Footsie Battle of what Orisa is looking to do. They dive in, you kind of step back, you crowd control them into an advantageous spot, you focus fire them, and then you re-engage. I would say she's good at peeling, but not really. She has to already have been peeled, whereas D.Va can be in the front and then peel back. Orisa better already have been in the back and then go back further when the fight comes into her. The only time you can somewhat get a bit of aggressive is if you're able to pop down your supercharger, put that bad boy into a safe position, typically behind your shield, and then go to town mowing things down. But even so, that's best placed out of the action, away from where it can easily be destroyed. And although you might say Mercy's ult is somewhat better, keep in mind Mercy can't shoot while she's damage amping. So there's still an advantage to utilizing Orisa's ult because she has crowd control and does tons of damage herself, although it is very spammy in nature, not very precise. Now there's an extra layer of complexity to mastering Orisa, and I would say they have 3 general ideas. 1, super high value halts. 2, mastering her weapon so that it is a comparable damage source for the team. And 3, doing the Footsie Battle inside your shield, which I've kind of already explained. Step back, you kind of do the hokey pokey. They put 1 step up, you take a step back, you do a little dance in your shield, pop fortify, stay alive. That aspect of the character I think I'm still mastering a bit myself, but the other 2 I mentioned I feel more comfortable explaining. Anytime you see anything on the high ground that doesn't have mobility to jump back up, Genji, Pharah, Tracer, things that can either recall or whatever, if they're slow and particularly immobile and close to the edge of high ground, Orisa is insane for just pulling them out of position. That one play alone can be team fight winning, as in one fell swoop you rob them of whatever high ground advantage they were looking for. Other cool things that you can do is like lift Reinhardt in the air in order for an Earth Shatter to be snuck in underneath them. PogChamp, what a play. I do actively try to go for these types of plays, like if a Hanzo ult is being launched at the enemy team, try to grab them all in. If you're trying to set up a Roadhog hook, other types of combos like that, but just in general, using halt actively to put a character in a spot they don't want to be is amazing value, and your teammates generally should be able to follow up on it as long as you're consistently doing it through the match. Now, the last point of interest is firing her fusion driver, which can oftentimes feel like it doesn't do any damage. Yeah, have that mentality. Assume it doesn't do any damage and don't rely on it doing damage. You're a supportive damage dealing character that sometimes through either impeccable aim or just luck of the draw with the way the spread works and your predictions can sometimes mow down characters, but for the most part her damage is unreliable, so treat it as such. Don't aim for headshots unless you're really close, and then just try to track the center of mass of the target you're shooting at with a slight lead and prediction on where they're going to be going. Your results may vary based upon how good your tracking is. If you want to get that up, I suggest downloading Aim Hero, mess around with that. You also could practice characters like Soldier or Tracer, which can get you used to keeping your crosshair on a moving target. I think over time you could start to get familiar with what to expect out of the weapon, and the answer is not much. Even with perfect aim, it still has a really long time to kill, so the biggest tip about it really is just making sure that you're not set up in a position that you have to have reliable output from the weapon. You have to be in defensible locations so that when you get in these duels, you're not really required to win them. You're more so aiding your team by holding the spot, putting up the shield, crowd controlling them, and aiding with some damage. And the better you get at it, the better you'll be. And then like the clips that I've shown in this video where I have been able to more or less solo kill someone, it's more so with the enemy overstaying their welcome on me and assuming that my damage is too low to kill them. But combining with halt in order to follow up on your damage is a good way to go about it. You can track where they are and then toss your halt out, and when you're sucking them into the halt, you can start aiming at the green circle preemptively so that your projectiles will reach there when the enemy does, if that makes sense. Otherwise, if you're struggling with projectile aim, you can look up my tips on aim mastery with Pharah, and even more specific about animation reading is my aiming tips on Widowmaker, which apply to every hero really, not just Widow, but knowing how the animations of the characters you're shooting at as well as how to lead the targets will improve your range spam with the character and make it as reliable as you can. Well, that's it for this inaugural Orisa video. I hope you found it useful. I know there's plenty of things that I didn't have time to cover. Obviously, crowd controlling off the map on Sanctum Nepal or, well, Ilios can be useful, but I tend to want to play more flexible heroes when I'm playing those maps. You saw the same maps often on this video because I think she is best viewed as a niche type hero, as a very viable but somewhat limited skill set, and oftentimes other heroes in the tank slot can be more useful for just simply contesting high ground with dive tanks or having a better brawling tank that can be on the point with Reinhardt or Roadhog. But either way, all the tanks in Overwatch are really playable right now, and it makes it fun to be a tank player. If you agree, leave this video a like. It really helps us out and lets us know that you're enjoying the content. If you haven't already, please subscribe because we upload each and every day, so you're gonna wanna hit the bell icon so that you get notified when our videos go live. Link to the description is our Twitter, where we tweet out news, updates, and dank memes. That's been it for me. I've been FREEDO for Your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.